So today, as you see, we're all wearing orange, and Stair, I have my button on. Stair designed this button, and we actually did license plates in Virginia around stopping gun violence. So we hope you have your orange on today, and you can see that we are just fired up. So good, because June 4th is National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and we wear this orange this weekend because it's an opportunity for us to show the country just how powerful we are. So show your power all day today. And it's let's get this show started, as we say. Today's theme is about public safety, public service, and labor rights. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is on the ballot. And I know everybody here in Virginia is getting ready for this election so we can show the nation that we do mean business. So thank you for being here. Because my goodness, when you read the news, there's a hell of a lot of bad news, and it seems like the world is on fire. The media is reporting daily the rise of gun violence. The reaction from the right is what? Oh, just buy more guns. Get easy access to guns. So we know that we have a better answer, and today our guests will definitely be talking about that. So that today's lineup will be talking about the rise of gun violence, the facts. We have what the research reveals, the organization's doing something about it. Also, we have labor rights here because repealing right to work is a biggie for us. And we'll have two awesome public service servants joining us running for governor. We have the two Jennifers here today, and we also have two awesome candidates running for the House of Delegates. Woohoo! Good for us. We're ready to rock and roll. So with that, I'd love to introduce our lineup. We're going to open it up on public service with Senator Jennifer McClellan. Welcome, Senator. Please spotlight her. What?
I don't think she's here yet.
She's not here yet. Well,
so I think we're gonna, the two Jennifers aren't here yet.
I'm like, well, timeliness is good for public servants. I'm teasing, but obviously hopefully we may want to check the email. Maybe she's having trouble getting in, but I need to look. So anyways, we'll have Jennifer McClellan open things up. Oh, she's here is Danielle. So she's in the room. Stair, see her? We're all right, bring her up. Okay. So anyways, well, we're waiting for
she's here.
Okay. Oh my gosh. What happened? We'll make you co-host.
I'm sorry. Somehow I got the wrong link. I got the link for Danielle Campbell. I am not Danielle Campbell. I am Senator Jennifer McClellan. So hi.
Thank you for being here. We look forward to starting off the show with you. You look great in your orange.
Thank you.
So
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you. Well, next up, we're going to do some, as we call, fact finding. We found a new friend on gun research, and Jonathan J., welcome.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here. Yeah,
you have a PhD. You're in Boston University, so we look forward to talking to you about your research. So thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Awesome. And then, of course, who is the best at this? The Moms Demand Action, the moms that really helped flip Virginia blue and work tirelessly on this issue. Today, we have Tara Taylor from the Virginia chapter of Moms Demand. How are you, friend?
Hi, how are you? I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having us today.
Are your kids behind that wall?
They'll probably pop in and out of that wall like magic.
Don't worry about us. We're kid friendly. I mean, I do say dirty words once in a while, but I'll try to behave myself today. Thanks, Tara, for being here. I love it.
Thank you.
And another favorite friend, Ginny Diamond. I talk about tireless working for labor rights, and this election is about repealing the right to work and other things. How are you, Ginny?
Great. Thanks so much for having me. Great to see you.
Yeah, I love it. All right, good. We look forward to that discussion because we really know what we need to win in Virginia to keep these things rolling for us. So thank you for being here. And then we'll do another segment of public service with Jennifer Carroll Floyd, but she's not here yet. She'll be here later. And then, of course, we're very excited. We always love to bring the candidates up and give them some love. And we have Ben Moses here from HD 59. How are you, Ben?
Doing so well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Very good orange shirt. I love it. I can't wait to talk to you because you are a veteran physician. You're doing it all out there. So we can't wait to just unpack what's going on in your district. So thanks for being here. Awesome. And then Caitlin Coakley. Badass. I'm just gonna call you a badass, because you are. Okay, you're a
Well, thank
writer,
you.
reporter, activist running an HD 65, and I just been following what you've been doing. You just are outspoken on the issues, so we're so lucky that you were running for office. So thank you.
Thank you. I realized I don't have a single orange shirt, so I wore kind of an orangey lipstick to try to make
Oh,
up for it.
that is good. You know, I had issues too. I thought I had more orange. I realized I had that, what do you call the color? It's more, I don't know. I'm trying to think fashion person, like peach. I thought peach.
Like a coral.
Yeah, coral. I'm a coral person, I decided. So I don't have really straight orange. I got to work on that. So thanks. I can't wait to talk to you later.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Awesome. And of course, my awesome team. We couldn't do it without the Power Lunch crew. We work on this all week. Stair, Ambassador of Buzz, is here. Robin, Show Wizard. Rosemarie, Show Support. And Louisa Borowski, Show News Anchor. Welcome, people. Welcome, team. Give them a round of applause. Yay! Thank you so much. But before we get started, Robin, I'd like you to get some slides ready, because if you're just joining us and you don't know anything about us, well, there's a lot to tell. What we've been doing in Virginia for the last 4 years is really trying to keep this women's movement, this grassroots movement moving. We're Network Nova, and we did 4 women's summits, and this year we're doing a 5th because we're crazy. Let's just say it. But we understand that organizing and consistency is the key, and we're consistent with this program. So because we do the Power Lunch, the summit is going to be integrated into that. So good for you. If you're a patron, you'll get a discount. But this year, we are excited to announce that we have a hybrid program. We'll have a combination of online content that you can plug into all summer. And then we're going to have the Summer of Summits, because we will be doing it in 3 locations, Nova. And then we'll do it in Harrisonburg in July. And just give me 1 second. And then August, Virginia Beach, because we're going where it's hot. So let's talk about Northern Virginia. We found our location to rally at, and we're really excited because it's just so fitting that we will be at the Riverview and Occoquan, right adjacent to the Turning Point Suffragette Memorial. And many of you may have donated to that, but that memorializes the women who fought for the right to vote and that were jailed in that area. And you've heard about the Night of Terror and all that went on in Occoquan and the workhouse. Well, this is such a beautiful location. It's outdoors, indoors, and you could see very COVID friendly. So please get your ticket. You won't be unhappy. And if you don't live in Nova, it doesn't matter. You can travel up or just plug into our virtual content too and join us where you can. So yes, that's about it in a nutshell. Do you want to put the ticket price up, Robin? Or are we good? Oh, here we go. Here's some pricing. General admission, $40. Give me a break, having a problem with your pocketbook, pay us, just do a $20 level. And especially for students, that's awesome. And candidates and elected officials, wait a minute, elected officials are $20? I'm teasing you. Candidates 20, because we know what it's like on your pocketbook, and summit supporters coming in at 100. And we've already had a lot of people do that. So thank you. And just put the link in, Robin, if you don't mind, for the Eventbrite, and people can have fun looking around and poking around in there, because there's also a grassroots rally on Friday night, June 25th, followed by the in-person and virtual on June 26th. All right, moving on. So if you want, we always like to say, join us, back our show, be a patron. Also share on Twitter if you want to put our Twitter stuff in the chat. Follow us on Twitter and also on YouTube, like our content. And let's just get it started with Louisa, who's going to do our grassroots report up. Louisa, welcome. I've missed you these last couple of weeks. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, I had to come back. It is a big weekend of action here in Virginia. Obviously, we all know that the primary is coming up on Tuesday. In most cases, you can still be voting early through Saturday. So I'm going to put a link in the chat. the most important thing is, one, make sure you vote, and two, make sure all of your friends and family are voting. Even though you probably received lots of mailers, I still have friends who are like, oh, I wasn't aware that there was a primary. And so it's just so important. It's not just important that this is a chance for you to really back the people you care about who are running in these great races, but also we need to show the Republicans that we are here and we are bringing it. So this is not the time to say, oh, well, there are too many candidates, I can't choose. Please, please encourage people to learn about the candidates and sign up to vote, whether it's early or in person on Tuesday. Another thing I want to encourage people to do who are on the Zoom right now is, if you know about any action that people can join this weekend, like knocking doors for candidates, phone banking, etc., please put it in the chat. There's so many great opportunities, and this is the weekend that we really need to have all hands on deck. I also want to encourage you, if you haven't already, see if your local Democratic committee needs help, right? On the 8th, we're going to have polling stations open, and we're going to need people outside those polling stations providing information to people who are coming to vote, including ones who maybe haven't had a chance to look through all the candidates and might want a little advice. So Democratic committees can always use additional volunteers. And then the last thing I want to note is that I will be part of the National Women's Political Caucus and their Primary Watch event, which is also going to be on June 8th, starting at 6:30 p.m. And I'll put that link in the chat. It should be a fun way to get ready for those results that are going to be rolling in on Tuesday evening. So the other thing I want to mention is we do have a coalition meeting coming up on Sunday. There are a couple of really important things we want to be discussing. One is we need to start building this momentum to November. So we're going to talk with a number of groups who are coming and joining us from outside of the state to support our awesome candidates and hear about ways that we can partner with them. The other thing is we're starting to get some new intelligence on these races, and we want to hear from our groups on the ground what they're hearing and what's going on. One of the things I heard in my email today was that some of our candidates are taking money from Dominion again. And this is something we really want to discuss as something we are not very pleased with. We know races are expensive, but we also feel like there are clearly some great candidates out there who have taken the No Dominion pledge and are sticking to it. We want to make sure that we're supporting them. So those are my calls to action, Catherine. So go vote, get everyone you know to vote. And if you can, volunteer.
Because why?
Because when we vote,
we win. That's right. And I'm wondering, the Republicans can vote in our primary.
Yeah, I think in Virginia they can. I don't see that. I haven't heard that they're trying any kind of major push on that. But that being said, as you've seen, you have a lot of primaries for our Democrats, and some of those primary candidates are new, and some of them are backed by money we're not sure where it's come from. So it's really important to be taking some time to do our research to figure out, in these primaries where we've got multiple candidates running, who do we really want to support?
Well, I love it. Thank you for bringing that report. So I do encourage people to pop in on the Sunday to get involved with Virginia, because all eyes are on Virginia and all groups are focusing on Virginia. Let's just say it. So we do got to bring it. So we're bringing the fire and not the fury. Well, we're bringing fury and fire, but we don't want to use those terms, but we're going to bring some heat, as we say.
Right. And it's exciting, and it's going to and the Women's Summit is going to help bring, get us even more excited. So super fun to have that all summer long.
Well, this is great. So thank you, Louisa. I always love the report out and seeing what everybody's doing. And I am excited. Oh my gosh, somebody's calling me right in the middle of my show. What's the matter with people? I mean, really? Teasing. So I would love to open this next segment up with a public servant, Jennifer McClellan, Senator McClellan, running for governor. It's always great to see you. We're so excited to have you on the ballot. How historic for us. And then also today we've welcomed you here to talk about voting and the power of the Black vote and the power of the push to suppress the vote and what is at stake in Virginia. So go for it.
All right, well, thank you, Catherine. And I'm going to start with a little history lesson because this wave of voter suppression that we see is not new. Throughout our history, starting at the end of the Civil War, whenever Black people in particular and marginalized people in general have gained social, political, and economic power, there has been a backlash that has included violence, whether it's racial terror lynchings just after Reconstruction or lynchings and beatings and murders in response to the civil rights movement, whether we've seen Jim Crow laws and voter suppression in order to keep people from voting. And we have also seen propaganda and lies, whether it's a lost cause and white supremacy narrative or lies about voter fraud. And so we need to understand the cycle so that we recognize it and continue to fight it. And in my own family, my great-grandfather witnessed that first wave when he had to take a literacy test and find 3 white people to vouch for him in 1901 just to be able to register to vote, but my great-grandmother couldn't. My grandfather, my father, had to pay poll taxes, and yet my grandmother and my own mother couldn't vote until after the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And so your vote is your power. And if it wasn't important, people wouldn't be trying to take it away. So while in other states, we see a wave, the latest wave of voter suppression with Republicans making it illegal to give people a bottle of water in line to vote, here in Virginia, we are on the right track. And I am so proud to have carried and passed with Delegate Marcia Price the Voting Rights Act of Virginia, which enshrines the principles of the federal act in state law and makes us not only the first state in the South to have our own Voting Rights Act to fight voter suppression, intimidation, and discrimination, but it's one of the strongest in the country. And California thinks theirs is, but it's not. We also, because elections matter, between the 2020 session and this session, we have passed laws that made Virginia, took us from the 47th state as far as ease of voting to number 12. We have a long way to go, though. We can be and we will be number 1. And so it is important that we protect the gains that we have made. And that's what's on the ballot. That is what is on the ballot this November, because every single one of those voter protection laws and voter expansion laws passed on a party line vote. Sure. And Glenn Youngkin, one of the only policies he talked about in the Republican nomination process was voter integrity, which is a buzzword for voter suppression.
Exactly. No, I call him Trumpkin. Could I say that?
You can say that for sure.
Just so you know, I want to spread that out there. Trumpkin, Yumpkin. Anyways, no, I when I heard your story, your personal story about your family and your grandfather.
My great-grandfather.
Sorry, yes. That was just so, I mean, I tell that story. Stories are really great to tell people when we talk about this. When people just say, well, I don't think this racism, systemic racism, what are you talking about? And then you can tell that story is so powerful. So you're so right about what's at risk. And especially around with, gun rights. And we see this also sort of on the rise when we're talking about the rise of violence. The rights reaction is more guns. And in Virginia, we've done a lot, but still there is some headway to make on that. So what are you thinking around that issue, even for the upcoming year?
Yeah, you're right. We have so much to do. So first, we need to close loopholes to some of the laws that we pass. So making sure that universal background checks apply to all sales and all transfers of guns. We need to make sure that our concealed carry permit requirements are followed no matter what. And so we need to repeal the bill that was passed a few years ago that said if you have a concealed carry permit from another state, we'll give you reciprocity. When you've got states like Texas moving to constitutional carry, that is dangerous to say you don't have to follow any regulations, and then we'll honor that permit here in Virginia.
It's almost getting like crazier. Like the more it's sort of like no registration, no training, just anybody can get a gun. I mean, it is like, that's the response on the other side. Really, when we talk about public servant and governing for the people, this is what your job is, right? This is what leaders are supposed to do. So it's really kind of, the reaction that the other side is absolutely doesn't feel like they're doing anything for the people, for the public, or really for the care of our country. And for, so it's that, so we appreciate your public service in Virginia. And we wish you luck. We know this is a big weekend for you.
It is, yes. And we will make sure you all get in the chat all the different ways you can plug into our campaign. You can go to jennifermcclellan.com. We will be everywhere this weekend with rallies, canvases, phone bank, text banking. We finished all the postcards, so thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. So good to see you, and keep rocking and rolling, friend.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks. All right, next up, when we talk about the facts, and I think we like to deal with facts, it's so nice to have somebody that has done research on this issue, and especially in 2020. So let's talk about this, Jonathan. Your point of view that why has gun violence increased in the United States? What is going on, and what is your research showing, really?
Well, I think the first thing to look at is the nature of the increase.
Mm-hmm.
So since the beginning of the COVID pandemic, there has been an unprecedented spike in fatal gun violence in the US. So a 35% increase from 2019 to 2020 in the biggest US cities. That equates to thousands of lives, and it started, that spike was visible by the summer of last year, way before media narratives started picking up this idea of an increase in fatal gun violence. So if that comes as a surprise, it's because the mainstream media narrative, a lot of policy narratives focus on a certain kind of mass shooting that is just a slice of gun violence. So we have this big spike, and their research is still unpacking the causes. It's almost certain that there are a number of causes that came together during the pandemic to increase violence.
No, I think, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they're really saying that still a lot of on the ground research needs to be done to really unpack the social, kind of economic, all the, to really see what is getting on and, what is causing this increase. We can kind of guesstimate, like you said. And it seems like in a pandemic, one thing they brought up that was interesting to me was alcohol consumption was up. And what we know about alcohol and guns is what?
More alcohol, more violence.
More violence and the uncertainty. I'm just going to warn everybody now that there's a really bad storm here right now. And if I lose power, we had this issue yesterday, but it's getting, and my dog is shaking right now at the bottom of my feet. So just in case, I want to prepare my team. So we always have plan B. That means somebody else will take over. But anyways, let's get back to the research and talk more about that. So about the pandemic, insecurity, and how about the amount of guns? I also noticed the rise in gun purchases were off the wall. So you have this increase in gun death, like I think it was like up from 2019 considerably. But how about when in a pandemic people go buy toilet paper and guns, or what are we doing here?
There has been a striking increase in gun purchases that has stayed high throughout the pandemic.
Right.
I think points to people's feelings of insecurity, lack of safety. There's a large number of first-time buyers that seems to be steady since the beginning.
Right.
But I think that looking at those potential explanations tends to overlook the epidemiological patterns that we see behind the majority of serious gun violence, which happens not in mass shootings, but in violence that happens every day between people who likely know one another, either because they live in the same community or because they live in the same household, they're intimate partners, and that disproportionately affects Black and brown people. And so that, I think, points towards, we have basically every possible social determinant of an increase in violence in 2020. But for that big bulk of everyday gun violence, the increase in economic insecurity, food insecurity, trauma related to COVID deaths, which also displayed racial and ethnic disparities. And then also across the board, we see adolescents have struggled throughout the pandemic.
Yes.
And there appears to be a decrease in the average age of gun violence victims since the beginning of COVID.
Right. No, I appreciate that. I know with one thing, I just want to first also recognize that people in the room, people that deal with this subject, and even in my own neighborhood, we lost neighbors and loved ones to mass shootings and more on that level. But when you speak about this everyday violence, from children getting guns to suicide and depression, I just want to also make sure we're recognizing that today, the gravity of this and how it does traumatize families. And a lot of people that volunteer around this lost loved ones. We have done a show on it. It is heart-wrenching. And so when we talk about the root causes and we talk about what we can do about it, I mean, in the sense of your research, what last words do you have on that? Because obviously the proliferation of guns isn't the answer. More guns is not an answer. So what is your research telling you, or what is your opinion on this?
The data and the research suggests that we have this great opportunity to reduce to address the spikes, or stop this cycle, and address a large proportion of community gun violence. There's a lot of different solutions. I have some links for you about evidence on a range of interventions, but two that I would highlight are, first, one that is being called community violence intervention. So that's having people who are from the most impacted communities diffuse conflicts and try to get social services to the people at most risk. And another is improving the built environment in communities that have been historically disinvested, continually don't get the best services, where even increasing green space, demolishing abandoned buildings has been found to reduce gun violence. And I think both at the federal level and at state and local levels, there's an important policy window right now for those.
No, that addressing some of the overall issues, like you said. And I think what we're seeing and what I'm worried about, and when we bring up Moms Demand, I'm looking forward to hearing from them as well. They're just a great advocacy group. That what we do in the sense of educating our youth. And I think they're the most traumatized. In March for Our Lives, we saw that one thing that they having to not go to school, some of them were relieved because these were the places they were supposed to feel safe. So it's our duty when we talk about public service, governing, to do something about this. And the answer is not putting more guns out there. So we appreciate your coming today, and we're glad we made always a new friend to come on our show. We hope to hear more, and please, we look forward to your research.
Thank you so much. It was great to join you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, what a great segue to Tara Taylor, mom, volunteer, tireless advocate, and also this coming up election. I'm sure moms are getting ready to knock doors and do action. So Tara, tell us what's going on, how you got involved in this yourself, and tell us about Moms Demand and what you plan to do this election.
So I got involved, I guess after Parkland, and live in very close proximity to Newport News and Hampton, and so we really got involved with city gun violence prevention. And so that is now what I do for our state. I lead city gun violence prevention for Virginia. And we're excited. Obviously, our Gun Sense candidate distinctions came out yesterday. And so we're really excited to get back on the ground. We really shine at canvassing, but we make thousands of phone calls and postcards and knock doors, anything we need to get our, sorry.
Is that the
I
kids?
told you it was coming.
The kids are coming through the wall.
People like try to pick my daughter's room to keep it quiet, but she also has a swing in her room. So yeah.
Hi, it's okay. Don't worry. We're family friendly. Come on in. That's why we're doing this for you, right?
That's right. That's why we're doing it. So
yeah, awesome. They love the kids love the Zoom. So
yes.
how many people are in the Virginia chapter?
Oh boy.
Lots.
Lots. I don't even really know a number off the top of my head, but I know there are a bunch of other moms in here that probably could chime in on chat on that one. I wouldn't even begin to know, honestly.
Right. So, okay. So in the sense of then, I'm just loving this, right? It's okay. Look, I have the dog at my feet. You have.
I'm like, she's clothed, which is like better than we normally do. So.
Well, one thing I noticed in 2019 about Moms Demand, you know, in the sense of what you really did and how important that role was. And I have to say, women, you know, women really bringing it, because we care about our society and when we talk about doing service and all that. So this year, do you find that people are jazzed up to get involved? Do they see what's at stake? Are you ready?
We are ready. We're mostly always ready to get our Gun Sense candidates elected. In Virginia, we never get a break. So we're always on alert and working hard in the background to do that. And I think we kind of had to take like a turn. We weren't used to canvas, you know, we weren't used to what was happening with elections last year because we couldn't do most of the things we normally do as far as like getting out the vote and knocking doors for our candidates. So we really had to switch gears, which we did, and we were still successful. So hoping this year now we can get back to knocking doors and be even more successful.
Yeah, I mean, I think because the issue is important. I know in the other parts of the state, I mean, you know, the Republicans are going to be using this also, like the senator said, the issues from you know, the election integrity, we use that word to mean voter suppression, and the idea about safety, and you know, the idea about guns also will be freedom or something, you know. But really it's our ability. What we want is to live free in this country, free of violence, in the sense I want to be able to go to school, I want to be able to go to the store without fearing somebody is going to shoot me. And I think that the time is now. I think we have to lead in Virginia. So I'm so grateful that Tara, you are working with Moms Demand, and that we will be knocking doors together, and hopefully you put those kids to work doing postcards.
They do. They work hard. They canvas right along with me.
So. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Tara. We will definitely join the Women's Summit. I sent it to. We want the Moms Demand with us, and so we can just really be stronger together, as we say. Thank you for being here. So let's roll it along. We have a lot to go here, and with our favorite, let's get to Jenny Diamond. Labor, labor, labor. Talk about women delivering it. Labor. And so, Jenny, tell us what's on your mind with this election. Tell us all what you're feeling about even the movement of the labor union, and how you got involved, and what you hope that you will do this summer and in generally around Virginia to make sure that we keep this majority, why it's important.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Catherine. And I want to thank all the people who are organizing Network Nova. You guys are so fantastic. I jump on every Friday when I can. And, you know, it's an amazing program that you have. So thank you for what you do. It's tremendous. Hi, everybody. I'm Jenny Diamond. I'm the president of the Northern Virginia Labor Federation. We have about 65,000 members. We stretch down to Spotsylvania, out to Winchester and West Virginia. And 2/3 of our members are women and people of color. And an interesting fact is that the president of this Virginia AFL-CIO is a woman, Doris Krause-Mays. President of the DC AFL-CIO, Diana Forrester, is also a woman, and the president of the Maryland AFL-CIO. And the presidents of the 3 largest national unions are also women. So definitely the labor movement is being led by women. And so we appreciate being part of your movement and being recognized by you all. When I started out in my career in labor, I was an organizer for the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. I lived down in Bristol, and we organized garment factories down in southwestern Virginia, northwestern North Carolina. And, that was, a very, rewarding part of my life because of empowering women and the amount of dignity and respect that workers gain when they actually organize a union. They have a voice, they have a seat at the table, they advocate for themselves. So it's not just that they can earn more money and get, turn their jobs into middle-class jobs, but also that they feel a sense of empowerment and equality, being able to advocate for what they want and what their priorities are. So organizing is, the central thing that we focus on here in Virginia. We are unionization is only 4% of the workforce. So the key, yes, 4%. Yes, and so, very important to understand nationally that at its height, unionization was about 35% of the total workforce. And of course, when you have that density, then that brings up everyone into sort of a middle-class standard of living. So, studies have shown that the growth in the income gap and the concentration of wealth and the decline of salaries and wages and the hollowing out of the middle class is really due. A very major factor is the decline of unions and the lack of unionization. So it's all about organizing, which is why I appreciate your signaling the issue of right to work.
Well, let me say, I'm from Ohio. So I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. My dad was in a union. It was a union town, and it was all unions till 1978, and the steel mill were closed and all that. So I lived that reality. When I moved to Virginia and they had this right to work thing, I didn't know what it was. I'm like, oh, this is great. Right to work state. That, when I moved here, I was clueless, like there's a right to work building here. And I'm like, well, then I found out what that meant.
Yes.
What an irony.
It's
like
terrible.
It's
Terrible.
like pro-life, but we like guns, and
Yeah.
we won't take care of people with health care. So
well, where you were from in Ohio and the destruction of our industrial base and the globalization economy and all of that, and the transition to service economy, some people have the feeling that, well, unions kind of go with manufacturing or something like that, which is not true. I mean, auto industry jobs that were non-union in the 30s were horrible, low-paid, dangerous jobs. The unions organized them. And so now that we are primarily a service economy, and we have hotel workers, we have custodians, we have construction workers, we have restaurant workers, all of those people, the ones who belong to unions, like a union hotel worker, will make over $50,000 a year. They will have health care. They will have pension. And the same with custodians, laborers that are union. A good job is a union job, is what I'm saying. It's not a type of a job. It's the fact that it's unionized. And so
you're right.
The problem is that for every one hotel worker who's making $60,000 a year with healthcare and can support her family, there's 20 that are not union. And there's a reason for that. And that gets to your, the initial framing of this issue, which is that, for decades, our labor laws have not been reformed, and they've been created to discourage workers from organizing. So I've been involved in so many organizing drives where workers are fired, they're threatened. And so what we need to do is we need to fix the laws, and the Democratic Party needs to step up.
Yes.
They need to repeal right to work. And also on the federal level, if I could ask everybody here to please put in a call to Senator Mark Warner. He's blocking the most consequential labor law reform that has existed since the 1930s, which is the PRO Act, which basically prohibits firing and threatening workers and encourages collective bargaining. And we have to have that. We have to have the PRO Act if we're going to rebuild the middle class. So please call Senator Warner. Tell him
I get all mad, like it just stirs me up. And when you even say that, I don't understand. And we're finally got this majority, for instance, and these are our values. What is holding people up? I mean, just off the cuff, we should represent workers. It should be so easy. Is it just the industry, the lobbyists that still control even both sides of the aisle we're talking here? What's going on?
Both parties are very much dominated by wealth and corporate donors. And you know, I think President Biden really sees what the problem is with that and why that has created this horrible divisiveness and polarization in our country. And it's because so many people feel disenfranchised by the political parties. So we really feel strongly that that we really want the Democratic Party to listen to President Biden.
Oh,
and
I like that.
Follow his leadership. He's demanding that we pass the PRO Act, that labor standards be part of infrastructure. And also we would appreciate it if the Democrats in Virginia would very firmly and strongly stand up for repeal of right to work, because that what will allow the workers to organize. And when they're organized, we will start to bridge this pay gap and the income gap that is disproportionately impacting people of color. So economic justice and racial justice go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. And I just want to say, I mean, we know that what it is, if you see the wealth gap, like when unions were strong in this country, where the wealth was really with the middle class. And we see the flip side of it. So we know that it's kind of gamed this way. And I think there is just generally this fear to let this go. Like if we pay people the living wage somehow, I guess you won't be a billionaire or something. There's this really strange narrative about this. You know, I grew up in a union household and my dad always taught me and about that the union sets the level, the wage. It sets these respect for workers. That's where we got our health care, right? And when Republicans really went after unions and broke all that, I mean, this is where people really thrived. We were able to send their kids to school because of a good union job and then get health care. And so I'm so appreciate the fight that you bring, and this knowledge today was really good for all of us to hear. And we need to hold our elected, accountable. So Senator Mark Warner, better get on it. Everybody contact him and make sure that he hears from this group today. In fact, anybody want to put contact information in the chat? We could all dial up or tweet. Not, do it in a way that makes people move, not, that makes him move the issue. So thank you. Thank you, Jenny. We'll have you back again. I know it. We'll be fighting this summer with you. And speaking of fighter, another woman that's running for governor in Virginia that is fighting, has always been a fighter for equal rights and so on, and also in public service. We appreciate her being here to talk about what's at stake. So if you want to turn your screen on, Jennifer, I can't see you.
Oh, she's there.
Are you there? I'm sorry, I'm seeing a.
Oh, no.
I'm
yeah.
Not.
Yes, it's she just has a.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Jennifer, are you there?
She's spotlighted, but her audio is.
But no voice. Let's give it a second. Well,
no.
Let's see. There she, look at that. It was like a magic.
It's a bad connection.
Okay,
Yeah, but there's somebody else there. Where is, oh, that's her help. I think she's getting it set up for her. Yeah, this is what we call the Friday Power Lunch, the fun we're bringing it. Is that Jennifer Foy we have spotlighted? There she is. I don't know who that is. Well, we always bring the fun.
You know what?
Right?
We're gonna remove the spotlight for a minute.
Don't spotlight that.
All right, so
can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Are you work? Can I turn on the?
Okay. Can you see her?
Let's see.
We'll try again. Third time's a charm.
No.
I tell you what, why don't we work on that, and
we'll bring Dr. Moses on.
Dr. Moses on. Let's go to the candidate spotlight and bring in it. How are you, Ben Moses? You're a veteran and a critical care physician running in House District 59. Tell us about your district and why the heck that you are running for office.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting to be here today with all of you, following such amazing speakers and getting to be here. There are a number of other candidates on right now. It's exciting to be part of this group of progressives who are really pushing to ensure that we keep a Democratic majority in the House of Delegates this year. As you mentioned, I'm a veteran of the United States Army. I served for 10 years, most of that time on active duty as a physician. I'm an anesthesiologist and a critical care doctor. That means that I take care of people in the ICU. It's something that I think before the pandemic, most people might have scratched their heads as to what that means, but really this has become a reality because so much of us have been personally affected and had either personal experiences with COVID or had loved ones that spent time in an intensive care unit. And I know what that's been like because I've been at the bedside the entire time. Really, this is one of the things that motivated me to run for this race, was to feel like there are certain things that I can get done for people and their families inside the walls of the hospital, but there are other things that I can't do. And so really, I'm running to make sure that the people in my district, the 59th legislative district, which is parts of Albemarle, Nelson, Buckingham, Appomattox, and Campbell counties in central Virginia, make sure that people have access to good, safe, physician-led healthcare. Making sure that even in places where we can't afford to build hospitals, which is so much of central Virginia, people have that access. A big part of that is actually making sure that people have good broadband internet. There are parts of my district that have fewer than 40% of homes have access to broadband internet. And then the reality is that so much of health, and this is one of the things that I think it's so vital that you're talking about and that everybody here is talking about today, we have a violence epidemic in our country. Violence leads to bad healthcare outcomes. That's why we care. We all want to be healthy. We all want to be safe. So much of what I'm doing here in my district and what I hope to do for all of Virginia is about ensuring Virginians' health and safety. The other big, I think the biggest long-term risk to our health and safety in Virginia is our environment and the threats to our environment, especially in central Virginia, where there's attempts being made on exploratory mining for gold, for uranium, attempts at building an oil pipeline that has been defeated once that we have yet to defeat a second time around. And so much of making sure that we move forward in the 21st century, that those historically disparaged communities are not left behind even more, is building toward a better future. And I love that the speaker right before me was talking about President Biden, because I think his concept of building back better means reaching out to communities that have been disparaged in the past, bringing them to the level where they are getting those good paying union jobs in building toward this green environment. And that is fundamentally what I want to do for us, for my constituents in the 59th legislative district.
I have a question because I don't know a lot about your district. I mean, who are you running against? And was it always Republican, or was it a turning, like I know CD9 was for very many years, 20 years or so, was Democratic. So what is the nature of your area and what's going on with the politics there right now?
It's a large rural district. It has been Republican for a long time. The incumbent is a man named Matt Ferris, who unfortunately has not demonstrated a consistent responsibility to the people in the 59th. It's the nicest thing that I can say about him.
Right. Well, that's good. You did good, Ben. So no, we appreciate that. And what are the numbers in the sense of who ran before you, and what are the chances there of you flipping that? And then what can we do for you? I hope we want to make sure, one, you come to the Women's Summit. If you could travel up to Nova on that weekend, we'd love to host you up here. We want to make sure that you get what you need and those resources to run. So one, what does it look like, your race in general? And then also, what can we do for you?
So the exciting part about this year compared to 2 years ago, there was a great candidate named Tim Hickey who ran a couple of years ago. He lost by 26 points. What's big different this year is that I am challenging, but there's also a conservative, independent, third-party challenger who is from the same town as the incumbent, is likely to split votes with the incumbent, leaving us the opportunity to win with a plurality. Yes. Moreover, in this year, this off-cycle year, we have these really incredibly exciting top of ticket candidates in the Democratic Party, like Senator McClellan and former Delegate Carol Foy, who are with us today. I am so excited about our top of ticket that I think people are going to be motivated to come out and vote. Really, what's going to make the difference for my campaign and for so many other rural progressive districts this year is going to be voter turnout. So exactly what you guys are doing is about getting out the vote, about getting people excited. That's what we're going to be able to do in the 59th district, is really get those people out to vote who otherwise have felt like their government isn't working for them. And in large part because of the current delegate in my district, he's not working for them.
No, and what they love to do is not work and then say, oh, well, let's go talk about critical race theory or something, like just, oh, look at, they just bring up all the negative and they keep people engaged with this narrative, but they don't deliver anything for them. And it's really quite sad. I mean, especially when they're not getting health care, they're not, the schools are crumbling. These people are not being good public servants. And I think we need to make sure that the voters know that. And I know that Qasim Rashid, who ran for CD1, did this interesting, he talked to us the other day, who's here last week. And what he said is that people are calling him now that didn't vote for him saying, I wish I voted for you. Because what they're finding is that Whitman over there is not doing squat, and they need help, and Qasim is there and still there, and they go, I regret my vote. I can see it now. I regret my vote. So how about that? Well, thank you, Ben. We hope you come up to Nova. We'll talk to you more about that because we really want people to meet you in person. We'll also be in Harrisonburg in July, but we still know that's far for you. You know, we have a big state. So, oh, Jennifer, well, look who's here, popping in. Look at you. Hello. Hello, Jennifer Carol Foy. We're so glad you made it and we can hear from you. So go ahead. So I won't.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. So 4 times is actually the charm. And so, hi, everyone. Jennifer Carol Foy here, running for governor. And I want to thank you for giving me a couple moments to be with you. We are out traveling, barnstorming the entire Commonwealth of Virginia, getting out the vote, letting people know how important this next election is. So my journey for governor didn't begin recently. It began a long time ago, growing up in Petersburg, Virginia. And Petersburg being once an affluent and well-to-do, predominantly African-American community. But when businesses closed, jobs left, and high child poverty rates, high rates of unaccredited schools, and gun violence all crept in. And when we turn to politicians of the past who made promises to be big and bold for help, they were nowhere to be found. And so luckily we are a city of strong, resourceful, resilient people, and we fought to lift ourselves back up. My friend Sam ran for mayor, my friend Chris opened small businesses, and I dedicated my life to service. As a public defender representing Brown, Black, and poor Virginians, helping them navigate a broken criminal justice system. As a foster mom, helping abused, neglected, and traumatized kids for almost a decade. A community organizer, registering people to vote and helping others restore their rights. And of course, as a state legislator, where with many of the wonderful advocates on this call, we toured the entire Commonwealth of Virginia, energizing and exciting people about the Equal Rights Amendment. And it was my resolution that passed the General Assembly, making us the 38th state so we can enshrine women's equality into the United States Constitution.
Yes.
Passing bills to help veterans open small businesses, diversify the teacher workforce, end pregnancy discrimination. And I can tell you, passing Medicaid to over 500,000 Virginians and cleaning up toxic coal ash. The people in the 2nd District will tell you one thing about Jennifer Carol Foy: promises made, promises kept. Yes. And that's what this race is really about. So I wanted to thank you all so much for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, we had you on, to talk about public service. We know you're running for governor. We're just so excited that we have both Jennifers on the ticket. Because we need change at the top, as we say. So we're so excited about that. But today, being June 4th and gun violence, awareness, what are your thoughts of why we're seeing this rise in gun violence as somebody that may, obviously you served in House of Delegates and so on. What are your thoughts on this increase?
Well, when we see an increase in gun violence, it's really acts of desperation. The issue is that, politicians of the past have nibbled around the edges or put band-aids on our issues, getting us from one crisis to the next. Because the answer to gun violence isn't easy. We can try our best to get guns off the streets. I'm happy to have help pass legislation such as universal background checks, 1 gun a month, and red flag laws. But we have to attack the root of the problem, which is really poverty, the lack of economic opportunity, underfunded schools, under-resourced
Right.
communities. So I'm excited to say, if people visit my website at jennifercarrollfoy.com, you'll see almost 20 plans to address affordable
Yes.
housing and child poverty and all of these issues, but it's having an assault weapons ban in Virginia, banning high capacity magazines, and investing in violence interruption programs.
No, you're right. I mean, it truly is. It is so many things. And I feel like there's just a rise of people, mental illness is, I feel like people are unstable. I think then the normalization of that, we take out our anger on others. Like, it's okay if you have a problem to go shoot people at work because you're unhappy. But we need to figure out where people are, where they are in their heads, and get this and make this not the solution. I think that's where we don't talk about this in the public forum, like what is going on there with this normalization. And to me, that's also something that's critical. Mental health, that we don't have the support. Virginia's not very good in that area either. But so we appreciate you being here. 4th time's a charm, and we wish you luck this weekend. And please have your candidates that are on today, please put all your information in the chat so people can help you. I know you have a lot of events this weekend. So thank you, Jennifer, for being here. Great to see you.
Thank you. Great to see you as well.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. And she has on some red and orange too, so it's great. And let's not forget our last guest, Caitlin Coakley, as we say, wearing orange, bringing it. Right. Good. So tell us about your race, where you're located, how you got involved, and how we can help you.
Absolutely. So the district that I'm running in, which is the 65th, it incorporates parts of Chesterfield, all of Powhatan, the western half of Goochland, and then some of Fluvanna County. So it's an interesting district. I think it's a very interesting cross-section of different parts of Virginia. You have some very rural areas, and then you have some very suburban areas. The reason why I decided to run is just because of all the work that we have done this past year. I'm a mom, I'm a working mom, and when my kids' schools closed, I was stuck at home trying to learn new technology, new ways to get my work done while also navigating my children's, emotional and social and educational needs. And throughout all this, my opponent, Lee Ware, who has been in this district for 23 years now, has been refusing to meet with constituents. He's been sending, he's just been, making excuses for why he shouldn't meet with, why he doesn't have time to meet with constituents or talking to people. I've spoken to people across this district, everyone from, grieving mothers whose children have birth defects and who want their story to be heard, to people who are advocates or activists who say, I've contacted all of my elected officials from Senate to Congress to local board of supervisors, and the only person who didn't respond was Lee Ware. And so I'm running because I believe that it's time for us in this district to have a delegate who works as hard as we do. And I'm also running because this is the second economic crisis I've lived through. The first one happened in 2008. I had just graduated college, and I got my first job as a newspaper reporter for a local paper covering state and local government as they were grappling with the fallout from this economic crisis. So I attended those committee hearings. I sat in on those floor sessions. I interviewed small business owners and economists, and I wrote the first draft of that history. And so that's where I learned to cut through the rhetoric. Catherine, you mentioned earlier, I knew we were going to get along when you mentioned how much you love facts. I'm the same way. But one of my takeaways is the way that this sort of rhetoric obscures the actual impact of a lot of legislation. So when we talk about economic development, for example, too often we talk about job creation as a code word to mean let's give big tax breaks and subsidies to corporations like Amazon because that will be good for business, right? Well, Amazon is not the one that's struggling right now. The small local businesses are. The working class is. Students in our schools and our public school teachers, our frontline workers, they're the ones, and so they're the ones that need to be at the forefront of our minds as we're moving, as we're coming out of COVID and we're rebuilding. And so that's why I'm running, and that's why I think that it's time to retire Lee Ware.
Well, question is, you're Chesterfield, are you involved with the Liberal Women of Chesterfield County? Are you
Yes.
are you in that badass group? Because we love
I am.
Yay. Well, you're going to win if they're backing you, my friend.
I hope so. I hope so. And that's what's so exciting about right now is it's a great time. For one, it's a great time to be a Democrat. It's a great time to be a woman running. I'm actually the first woman running in this district in 2 decades.
What?
Yep.
My goodness. It's like, that's crazy. But I do believe if you have that group behind you, and we need also having you guys come up there, we go down there to help you when we start to knock doors. Who is the like congressperson around there? Are you do overlap with Abigail?
Yep. And that's another reason why I'm so excited is because my district overlaps with Abigail Spanberger's district. The appetite for change is there.
How about Senator Hashmi?
Yep, she is my state senator.
She's one of my favorite people.
She's fantastic.
You are lucky. You're good. But what I mean is you're surrounded by that is really, really, you can flip this is what I'm saying. There's some real power there. So we're so excited for you. When I saw you on the Impact Center, I'm like, oh, we have to have Caitlin on because she's my kind of people, as we say. The way you spoke so passionately, you were at the Black Lives Matter. I think it was one of the marches I saw.
I think it was the Palestine one, but there actually is a Black Lives Matter march this Saturday, and we need some volunteers to join us because Team Coakley, we're providing water and snacks and refreshments and all that stuff. So anyone in the Richmond area who wants to join with us.
Okay, well, thank you. We'll put that in the chat, and with that, we thank you again. We know. Hopefully we're going to get this information out about the Women's Summit. We're going to be working all summer long because we know that the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is on the ballot in Virginia. We work now, this is going into our 5th year that we have flipped this blue. All of the people that put hard work into this, now we're going to have to maintain it. There is that maintenance. It's sort of like your body. You got to keep exercising that muscle or, get sort of a little flabby. And that's the pandemic for you for sure. So for next week, a little teaser is we're going to have Denver Riggleman here who actually got defeated out in Virginia. Is going to be talking about how batshit crazy the Republican Party is. So thank you for that, Denver. And then who else, Robin? I always forget. I get so excited about the after chat.
We have Bridget, who's going to be there
for the candidate spotlight. Bridget, yes.
It's going to be a great show.
It will be something, as we say. I know okay, so good. So stay for the after chat. Make sure if you want to join us and back the show, we always love backers. And if you're a backer in the show, if you're a patron, thank you so much. The cost of a cup of coffee, you can support us awesome women that just love to do this. This is our way to serve our country in a way, because we really feel like we're fighting for our democracy and it is at stake, it is at risk, and we have to do everything to stand up now for it. So if you weren't jazzed up before, we hope today you are just on fire, as we say. And as we head out, thank you to all our guests that spent time with us today. And thank you for everybody that shows up for every Friday. We love this community. And remember, the summit, the summer of summits. All right, let's hit some credits and see you next Friday.